Hey, and welcome back to the podcast. We're here with Jason Toy from 88Stacks.com, and Jason is a growth-focused startup generalist, and he works in technology, marketing, operations, and growth. He spent a lot of time working with machine learning and artificial intelligence in production environments and research. So we're going to find out about all kinds of ideas and topics today: embodied cognition, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and everything that goes with that. So Jason, glad to be talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for the intro. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what I've been doing. I can riff into that a little bit if that's helpful, but yeah.
Let's do that. Like in your words, if someone says, what do you do? How do you stand out? What's your current passion? What's the answer?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I basically, I've loved building technology, building products, seeing things come into the world. And so I've been trying different things in my career, and essentially technology was the thing that got me most interested, in. And myself being a programmer, I think that, people who think about building things and working on programming, oftentimes they get involved or think about like, well, if this is what a computer is doing now, what is artificial intelligence really doing, and what does that look like? And so that's kind of been my natural journey is over time, as I've been building these technology companies, basically always thinking about like, what is computer doing, and what is AI? And then so that's kind of how I went down that path. But then in terms of like you were just mentioning, yeah, I've done a lot of different things. I've been basically every company I'm at, I try to build and focus on a different aspect, and try to try to do new things to always add value. And that has led me to do things such as the technology and marketing. I mean, basically when you start a company, the motto I like to say is, I do a little bit of everything, bad at all of it, but can get enough done to be a little dangerous, and then you hopefully get better help to take over.
I like that. You do what you can with what you have, and it's always fun to be a programmer with little scraps of code, right? Little proof of concepts, little demos, just to see what's possible, especially, as you're saying, being on the cutting edge and not wanting to be left behind and to tap into what's possible. And so it seems like, as far as AI goes, I think the best way I've heard it explained to me was they said it's like a calculator, but for the English language. So that way it's like the predictive text, and it's a tool, and it can't make things out of thin air. It can just use what's in the huge database. And then some of these guys I talk to that have these AI solutions, it seems like a lot of it's centered around the APIs, that instead of creating all these things from scratch, you say, well, here's Microsoft has this interface, and you just are very careful cleaning up and error checking the inputs and outputs. And so like, what's your thoughts on that? Or what's your approach to some of these cool AI tools you've been building?
Well, when people say AI, I mean, at least as of now, in the past half year, I would say that's probably all these large language models and ChatGPT, which I think you were kind of alluding to with predicting text and stuff. So, I mean, I'll focus it there, but AI itself is like, it's pretty broad. There's research into like embodied cognition and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, people right now are using these kind of, it's basically right what you're saying. It's like, basically it's a prediction machine. So they've taken basically copies of the internet, trained a model which just reads that data and then learns to predict the next word. So you give it sentences, Mary had a little, and it's going to know lamb, right? And so yeah, I mean, as of now, it costs millions of dollars to make a copy of that internet and then train a model to do that, because you need specialized GPUs. So I would say the majority of companies who are using it, they are using APIs. So there are several of them now. OpenAI is the largest one. You can use that both from a web interface and then also APIs. So many companies, are integrating at an API level. So yeah, I mean, I would say depending on how deep and what level of integration you're looking for, the majority of people will get, can build something of value right now with just API calls, which just turns it really into just like, I mean, the whole internet is built off of APIs anyway. So if a website's already doing APIs, this is just one more API to become a much smarter app. So yeah, I think APIs is still the right way to move forward as of now. I mean, if you're a larger company with lots of money and you want to build like a specialized model or something, or if you have special use cases, you might want to build your own thing. But I would say the majority of businesses don't need that right now.
Well, great. And you're reminding me about all of these. There's like all these kind of, I don't know if like obscure or weird is the right way to describe it, but there's all these kind of like like Mid-Journey will generate the images. And I've seen these things that'll generate whole videos. And then you mentioned a few times here about this whole idea of cognition. So like what excites you about the AI use cases? Like we've all seen like the Chat GPT and things like that, but then as far as maybe the problems that aren't being solved well enough, what has you excited?
Well, it's a spectrum, and we keep getting closer and closer to what a lot of people call AGI, artificial general intelligence, which is a computer that's basically can do the level of thinking that a human could do. Whether that's possible or not, we don't know. But, there are things that we're incrementally improving every day. So one of the big ones I'm still pretty excited about, the autonomous cars. If, it was just passed in the news a couple of days ago, San Francisco, for example, they will allow cars to be on the road 24/7, and companies, they can sell the service. So basically autonomy taxi services. So that's pretty exciting. We'll see. They've been testing it for years already, and in many other cities too. So I think, in certain countries like in China, they're also doing that. And then in America, a few cities, California, Phoenix, Arizona. So that's pretty exciting. But yeah, the image stuff is very exciting to me as well. I've been in that space playing with that for quite a bit. And that's exciting to me too, because for several reasons. With images, text is great too. Like you can with ChatGPT, you can tell it to write you an essay, give you ideas. What's interesting with images is typically an image, what's the saying? A picture's worth 1,000 words. So if you can create the right image, you can potentially, from a marketing perspective, you can potentially capture the attention or show something very visually stunning or amazing in a second. Versus like a paragraph, or a book, it might be very interesting, but you've got to read it. So images, content there is very exciting to me because, you could build all kinds of systems. If you think about like really far into the future, you see things like, Star Trek's, what do they call that? The holodeck, and Star Wars has the, help me Obi-Wan, the little 3D cartoon there. So stuff like that. Yeah.
And you mentioned Star Trek. Like when I was a kid, one of the most amazing scenes there was like there was some episode where like the crew members were abducted by aliens, and they all had like this like weird dream of being in the weird alien area, and they went to the holodeck, and there was like 5 of them trying to like recreate from memory what the scene looked like, and they were like, oh no, it's like a wooden table, no, change it to a metal table or make it 3 inches higher. And I, as a kid, I was just like, whoa, like if technology in the future will be like that, where you can say, I want the book cover or the piece of art to look like this. Okay, that's close, but can we change this and get it more dialed in? Just that sort of problem solving was really interesting. And then just a few days ago, I saw one of these videos kind of demoing the kind of like the Terminator vision, what the self-driving cars see. And it was like a road, and there was like a stop sign, and it had like some box around it and like the crosswalk, and there were a couple of like pedestrians and like traffic lights and other cars. And I was like, that's cool how there's like the different colors and the different boxes. And it was just like identifying all these factors. Like you take for granted all the things that are required to drive a car, right? You think like, oh, turn, start, stop, but you're like, there's all these obstacles that you have to kind of categorize, identify, and respond to. And it's kind of just fun to think through the problem solving sort of that kind of thing. And so So yeah, you're involved with this sort of artificial intelligence and machine learning, and about your own personal journey and building these companies and making these solutions. Is there anywhere where you've like really struggled or failed or like been frustrated? Any kind of like negative to positive journeys you feel like sharing?
Yeah, I mean, I'll share one kind of situation. Basically, I building a company is hard. I think, everyone who's tried, that's why most people don't do it. It's a lot easier in many ways to not do it. Um, but like for me, for example, one company I did, me and a couple of friends, we started this company around 15 years ago. Essentially, it was a search engine for social media. And so basically, if we sold to marketers and PR people, if people who are like trying to find influencers or people who are talking about certain topics, and we would identify them, whether they're on Twitter, at the time, what was it, Google Friends or whatever, YouTube, LinkedIn, all the social networks, and then combine it to figure out who you were and build, like we call it, the social graph. So we had a pretty good business there. We started from scratch. We had I think around 50 customers, but these were all B2B companies, so pretty decent revenue coming in. We wanted to grow it bigger, and so we pivoted to a completely different direction. We also raised some money for it, and we found that direction in particular didn't. We worked on it for a year, and it didn't work out the way we expected. Deals took too long to close. The feedback loop was smaller versus our initial product was it's actually pretty good. And so when I think back on that, in hindsight, I probably couldn't have known, but at least for the first product, we probably should have stayed there because the feedback loop was just so much faster. We were trying to target larger customers, and so like deals we were chasing typically were over a year just to get to a no. And if you're spending resources on that, like building a sales team just to get to hear a no after a year, it's kind of, for a startup, you have to have that fast feedback loop. Like, is this helpful? Like yes or no. If it is, then potentially the customer will pay more and or introduce, their friends or someone else, and so you grow faster. So I mean, I would say that lesson there was, if you can, the feedback loop, definitely choose something that has a faster feedback loop. And then the other one, we just didn't know at the time. I didn't know these deals were going to take longer. So I guess that's main thing I learned: faster feedback loops.
And hindsight's 2020, and it's cool to kind of get an insight into your systems thinking. Some of these things that you were mentioning about the feedback loop, or about how this was too slow going, and then even something you said at the beginning of that response there was something like, well, you could go the easy way. And so there's just all these factors in what you do, right? There's the time, there's the difficulty, there's the money, there's like the excitement factor. And I think maybe a lot of people are just drifting through life and maybe just searching for the wrong factor to optimize, right? They're looking for the easy way or the thing that makes money but doesn't have their passion. So it's interesting to think about. It's almost like you're coding in real life as far as your thought process goes. And then so as far as the rest of us, like you always see like people doing things the wrong way or making mistakes. Is there anything that you think is not being talked about as far as the mistakes people make in their life, in their business? Just what mistakes do you see that just really drive you crazy?
Do you mean more from well, I mean, business versus life is pretty different, I would say. But I mean, if I would recommend, if someone wants to try something, they definitely should. I mean, most people don't take the leap into trying to build whatever their passion is, whatever thought they have about, whatever they're, in their daily lives, right? So I encourage definitely everyone I come across, at least if there's something that you care about, to what's like a baby step even? Is it like just writing a blog post about it? Is it, even just getting it out onto paper for yourself. You don't need to share it with someone, with everyone, but if you can just harness the ability to just put it into something, into some type of external, not just in your mind, but somewhere external, whether it's paper. The ultimate version is, turning it into something that other people can also understand and see. That may be a company, it may be a nonprofit, it may be a book, whatever it is. But I definitely try to encourage that for everyone. And then the other kind of advice I also try to encourage is, like, I think if people are just learning in general, if they're always, whether that's in personal or business, if you cultivate like a learning mindset, I think, we were talking about this earlier, but for me, like, I'm kind of obsessed with learning new things, and I'm always trying to up my skills. And, I'm not going to be the best at everything, but at least everything that I'm touching that's related to my projects and work, slowly but surely, improving in there. And so, been doing programming, dabbling in a little sales, a little marketing, whatever. Yeah, you just pick up skills, and you may find that, a skill you picked up here might be great for another future job or something else. So, continuously learning is definitely key for everyone, I think.
Very nice advice. Learn to love learning, be excited and addicted to learning, and never give up learning. Keep that muscle strong. I keep going back to, I saw some statistic a couple of weeks ago that said that after school and after college, the average adult, 40% of them stop reading. They don't read 40% of people never read a single book after school. And I'm like, I look at all the books behind you, and I'm like, that's crazy to, like, never go decades of life never reading a book. And it seems just really sad. And I'm thinking that I'm always like reading articles on Reddit. I was just reading something about SEO before getting on here and talking to you. I was watching some videos about like outbound sales calling and using that to train my team. And so I'm right there with you of love learning. You say these ideas and dreams that you have, get it out of your head, because when it's in your head, it's perfect and anything is possible, but it's not reality. And then there's like the low self-esteem in disguise that will prevent you from taking any action, because if you take action, you might fail, might need to adjust. So you're saying, get it out of your head, write it down, and then see what it evolves into, create a plan, teach others that makes sense. And, programming mindset, you figure out the spec, and then that leads into the code that you create, and then you debug and go through all those steps. And so most people are just haven't even started at the finish line, and they need to get ahead and get a move on, especially in this fast-paced world, as they say, with artificial intelligence and everything that entails. So if someone says, this guy Jason Toy from 88 Stacks, I like what he has going on, I like his advice, and I want to find out more about all of this, about generative AI, angel investing, etc. How can someone take the next step with you? What do you have going on, and what's the website URL? What's the call to action?
Yeah. So for me, you can find me 88stacks.com or Twitter, jtoy, JATOY. But yeah, I basically, what I'm basically doing now is I've got a few different experiments. My main one, 88 Stacks, is creating an image generation platform, testing it out. Like, can it be used for marketing and content creation? So anyone who's using images in like blogs or social media, we're basically making a platform so for anyone can easily create images. So that's basically what I'm doing there, and check it out.
Fantastic. So that website is 88stacks.com, 88stacks.com, and then JTOY on Twitter to find out what amazing software as far as AI and images and stable diffusion that Jason is coming up with. So JTOY on Twitter and 88stacks.com. I know we got a little deep a moment ago, Jason, but just as we're wrapping up this call, do you have a favorite like lesson or quote or moral or something like that to really end us on a high note? What comes to mind?
Yeah, sure. So one of my favorite quotes, and I might butcher it a little bit, but it's from Jim Rohn. He's a famous business and personal development coach. Yeah, my favorite quote from him is success is a few simple disciplines practiced every single day. So basically, my analysis of that, because I thought about that quite a bit, is yeah, if you wanna succeed in whatever it is in life, figure out what is the one or two simple things that are holding you back, and just work on it every single day, and your life will change
I
dramatically.
love it. And it applies to so many categories. If you are not a good writer, if you find yourself getting angry too much, you work on your headspace, work on those skills, daily discipline to get to success. I love it. And so think about that as you head to 88stacks.com and you add JTOY on Twitter. Thank you so much, Jason, for being here and being a cool person and sharing lots of helpful information. I appreciate you.
Same. Thanks so much for having me here. And it was really awesome talking with you, Robert.